Hello and welcome to Corgi Town, USA. I am Candy. In my chair with me is Chuckles, our spokescorg.
I am Catherine, and in the backyard, actually, are Digby and Calabria.
And of course, we have Mortimer Barnabas, Tito Bandito, and the newest member of our pack, Little Gilda Girl. And I feel like we should start doing quizzes because we tell everybody about our dogs every.
Yeah.
So, what are the names of the Corgi committee?
Yeah, what else?
It would be one of the giveaway quizzes.
Ooh, I like it.
But if you're new here, hi, welcome. We have a new episode for you every week. We are in our 7th season. Over 140 episodes, all about health, training, grooming, traveling with your pets. It's all about having a good life for and with your dog. And we happen to be Corgi centric, but we love all the doggos and we try to bring you really good, helpful information. If you're not new here, thanks for sticking with us through all of this. We have brought back another honored guest, and we're going to talk about preventing pet suffocation.
Yes.
It's unfortunately way more common than we would like to admit. So this is a little bit of a heavier episode. But it's a very important topic to talk about. Chances are hopefully you haven't experienced it, but you probably know someone who has. So we have an expert on the line to kind of explain to us how this happens and give us tips on prevention because it's really good information to have. So please welcome Bonnie Harlan with Prevent Pet Suffocation. Thank you. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Kat and Candy. I really appreciate it. It's been 4 years. So we have a lot to catch up on.
We do.
It's just so wild that it's been that long. Like, it doesn't seem like it.
No.
Doesn't seem like that long. So tell us, you've told us before in the older episode, we have some new followers and listeners, which we're very grateful for, and maybe those who listened 4 whole years ago. It's been a while. Can you please go through, and I know you have a painful story to share, but can you go through how you got started and give us your background?
Sure. So in 2011, Christmas time, December, I had my 50-pound rescue dog, Blue, living with us. My son had brought him home from the University of Arizona, my alma mater. So he was a rescue dog from a state that I love. And I fell in love with him. He was just a great dog. And one day I left to go do some errands. I came home. I was gone maybe 45 minutes. And when I got home, I couldn't find him. He did not meet me at the door. I looked everywhere, up and down stairs, just over and over again. It was very puzzling because several things were knocked over in my house, a little trash can, some Christmas decorations, etc. And I was starting to panic because I couldn't find him anywhere. I took one last run upstairs. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw him laying lifeless under a coffee table with a Cheetos chip bag over his head. And I kind of knew in that instant that he had suffocated. And it was just so shocking to me at the time. And I ran over, I pulled the bag off. He was still warm and not breathing. But I called my vet who walked me through CPR at the time. And unfortunately, it was too late for Blue. But my vet happened to drive right over. I mean, it was amazing. And I was hysterical. He came in and he told me, Bonnie, I could have warned you about 100 things, but a chip bag would not have been on the list. And when I looked around and I saw the struggle my dog had gone through, the things he had knocked over, the losing his bowels, and then finally collapsing under a table, it was devastating. And so I kind of vowed right then that I was going to do something about it because I figured if I had never heard of pet suffocation, then probably a lot of other people had not either. So that's how the seeds of Prevent Pet Suffocation started. And that was 14 years ago.
I'm so sorry that you went through that. And I'm sorry to have you relive it again. But thank you for turning that pain into mission and helping us prevent this from happening to anyone else. Nobody wants to be in that position. We don't ever want anybody to ever be in that position.
No, but it really did turn into a positive movement because he's kind of my icon dog, if you will, for pet suffocation. I took his story, and it's now an international mission because I realized so many people just had never heard about it. And we've come a long way in 14 years. A lot of people still haven't heard about it, unfortunately, until it does happen to their pet.
Right.
But there are many who are getting the message thanks to social media and podcasts and interviews and great journalism and so forth.
So I want to interject.
Mhm.
If people haven't heard about it, does that mean it doesn't happen that often?
No, I think it happens way more often than it's even reported. I typically hear from 2 to 4 people a week that this has happened to, and I read about it a lot more often, just comments on people's posts.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing about that many, and if you extrapolate that globally, you can only imagine how common pet suffocation is. But
And that's just the ones talking about it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And sadly, a lot of people think it's a fluke. I found my dog with a bag over its head or a container over its head, and it must have been a freak accident, and that's it. I don't want to tell anybody. I'm not going to bring it up.
Yeah.
And then there are those who seek out, how did this happen and why? And that's usually how they find me.
Right. And that's why I wanted to ask the question, because just because we don't hear about it doesn't mean it's not an incredible danger.
It's not as rare as we think.
It's not as rare as we think.
And you have some statistics, right, Bonnie?
I do.
A little bit.
About 3 years ago, I launched a pet suffocation survey. And about a year ago, we published the first results from about 4,500 respondents. And if you just take those statistics, you can really get a feel for really how often it is happening and in what types of bags and so forth. The main culprit being chip bags. So 47% of the people that reported a suffocation event were in a chip bag, and 13% in a pet food bag. People don't think about that as well. Snack bags, cereal bags, containers, plastic food bags, etc. So those are the types of bags and containers and so forth that your dog can get into.
Yep.
But I think first we need to explain, how does it happen, right? How does a dog or a cat or a wild animal suffocate in a food bag? So let's take a dog. Once they put their head into one of these, chip bags or snack bags, etc., a lot of them are made from a mylar-like material, that shiny material you'll see in balloons. And what that does is keep snacks fresher. So companies like them. So once the dog puts his head in, it starts to create a vacuum-like seal around his neck. And as he breathes, the seal gets tighter. Well, dogs don't have thumbs, and they're not logical, and they don't know how to get this bag off once it starts sealing. So if you can imagine a bag over his head, they're blind at that point. They can't see. They're anxious. They don't know what's going on. And typically they start either backing into a corner or running around. And in my dog's case, he went from the kitchen upstairs to the game room. So that was quite a ways. And, they're probably looking for somebody to help them. And that's what's so heartbreaking, if nobody's home. So it takes about 3 to 5 minutes to suffocate in a food bag. And typically they will lose their bowels as well. So it's pretty, devastating to think about it. But that's kind of what happens with food bags. And then with containers, a lot of times the dog will stick his head in a container. It can be any size. It can be any size dog. It can be any size container. And if it's been discarded or it's at home and it doesn't have a lid tightly screwed on, they can put their head in, they can't get their head out. So that also is, a big danger. So those are the types of bags and things that an animal can get into trouble with. And then the other thing I really want to point out is, half the people in our survey were home when their pet suffocated. It wasn't like me that was just gone for an hour. So 50% of the people were home. So it can happen while you're in the shower or while you're in the kitchen cooking or watching a Super Bowl game. That's why we have all these safety tips to, inform pet owners so they can, prevent this happening at home and in their car and whether they're home or not at the time.
So you're home, your pet has a bag over their head. They can't bark.
Right. And some people will hear it. Many of the people that have contacted me have just woken up to this. Okay. It was left on their bedside table or on a coffee table or something. They woke up or they took a nap on the couch. And some people will hear a noise in the other room and go investigate. We've had, a lot of saves. They've found their dog or cat just in time, which is great. But many people haven't. And it doesn't matter whether you're home or not. It happens just as frequently either way. If there is access to a food bag or a container, most likely your pet's going to sniff it and find its way over to it.
Well, and I think, dogs being natural foragers and, scavengers, it's, this smells nice.
And cats being curious as they are.
Yeah. That's why they say curiosity in the cat, right?
Right.
Yeah. And here's the thing with cats. So they're very agile, right? They can jump very high. So we tell everybody, don't store anything on top of your refrigerator or on top of your appliances or leave your dryer door open, things like that. Because a cat can leap up so high and very quickly. I've seen way too many videos of a cat getting up and just knocking the bags onto the floor. And it's got an audience of other animals on the floor waiting for this,
Yep.
So
thanks, friend. You went and got the snacks.
Yeah, I witnessed both of my cats, Star-Lord and Naboo, go from the floor to the top of the refrigerator. So the refrigerator is
Spring loaded,
6 feet, maybe.
Spring loaded. Yeah.
They don't even have to do the little, counter Naboo does now. She's older, but they don't do the counter to the floor, 6 feet straight up.
Like Super Mario.
It's amazing.
Yep.
And the other thing about cats specifically is a lot of them can get easily trapped into the plastic containers that hold litter or food, maybe 10 pounds of dog food or cat food or something like that. So we've had too many reports of them getting into one of these where the lid swings down on top of it and they're unable to get out. So they can all put their heads in chip bags, but cats especially can find themselves in small spaces in containers and up high on shelves and appliances.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's good information to keep in mind. You have, we're the Corgi Town Show, and you hear unfortunately the bulk of it because people will reach out to you, sometimes proactively and unfortunately retroactively. Is there any notable stories that you would like to bring up just as an example that you've recently heard?
Yeah, there are a few that come to mind. One I like to tell people is some kids were playing on a trampoline in the backyard, and when they were done, they went into the house. But they had been eating chips. They left it on the trampoline, and their dog was left outside. And he got on the trampoline and got into the bag and suffocated. We had another one. Well, we've had several where the kid has come home from school and his lunch chips are still in his backpack. And the dog will go nosing around in the kid's bedroom, get into the backpack, get a chip bag, and get into trouble that way. I had something on my own house, and I remind everyone, you need to tell your friends and your family, anyone that comes into contact with your dog, about pet suffocation risk. So I had some guests visiting a family, and they all know what I do, so I didn't give them the extra speech. But and I always kennel my dogs when I leave, crate them. I'm paranoid. So I had gone to dinner, and we put our dog in his crate. And then I got a notice that my alarm went off, which was unusual. And I thought the only way is the dog had to have gotten out of the crate. So we raced home, and he had somehow nudged it. It's a different kind of crate, and he had gotten out. Well, when we came in the door, in the middle of the floor was a bag of almonds. Well, I didn't have a bag of almonds, but my guest did, in her suitcase. And she was way down, like one level down. So he knew, they smell so well. He knew exactly where to go and look and bring that bag of almonds up. So it was another close call here. So those stories.
And that's even putting prevention measures.
Yeah, exactly.
The bag is in a suitcase on a different floor. The pup is in a crate. They're so resourceful sometimes, despite our best efforts.
They don't have opposable thumbs, but they don't need them.
Yeah. Goodness.
Right. And then the story this week, sadly, happened to be a Corgi, a little 3-year-old, and the family was devastated. The mom and her daughter had gone out to do some errands, and the father was doing some work in his office, and his little Corgi said he usually comes up and hangs out with him in his office, but sometimes he just hangs out on the stairs, which is what he did. And when the mom came home, it was too late. He had already suffocated, and he had gotten the chip bag off of the arm of the couch. So nobody's thinking about that, right? And that's when you learn after the fact that, oh, this is a problem. So it just happened to be a Corgi this week, and it's very sad. We have some very, very devoted Corgi followers. They're a very popular breed.
Yes. That's why we have our show, so we can educate.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I hear about this a lot from Corgi owners, and people say to me, oh, I think it's just because their legs are so short. I don't believe that's the case, because pet suffocation happens to every breed and size of dog and age of dog. But I think one reason is because Corgis are so popular that I hear about it more often, and because
they're also food obsessed, generally speaking.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So yeah, they can get into the smaller bags as well, because they're not usually, that big of a dog. But I tell everyone, pet size, age, or breed does not matter.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
No dog can win a battle against a lack of oxygen.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
or cat, or you had mentioned wildlife as well.
Yes. The same with wildlife. And people say, well, I don't own a dog, so why do I need to do these safety measures? Why do I need to cut up any chip bags? And I said, well, because you are protecting wildlife, feral cats, stray dogs, and maybe your neighbor's dog. We've had people tell me that this chip bag blew into my yard. I don't even eat chips. So wildlife, it's, crucial. I've seen too many stories of deer and squirrels and birds and raccoons all caught up in a chip bag or a container, because a lot of this stuff ends up in landfills, and that's where you're going to find these, stray animals.
Or it blows off the garbage truck on the side of the road, or somebody tosses it out of a car window. Yeah, so many things.
I mean, we all know to cut those rings from the 6-pack. This is just another measure to save our world.
Cut them up. Yeah.
Cut them up.
But the good news, what I tell people about pet suffocation, is you can do things to prevent it. And that's what's important. And they're easy. Okay. And the main thing is you want to cut up all your food bags. And people say, well, how do I cut them? This way, that way? I don't care as long as they're all cut up.
Yeah.
And I say keep your trash preferably behind a locked cabinet or with some type of firm lid on it. Cut up all your food bags. Keep everything safely away from your pets, whether it's, high shelves or, like I said, behind a counter or a cupboard. And store your snacks in containers, right? Then you can get rid of the chip bag or the food bag or the snack bag immediately.
Yep.
We have a friend that lost their Corgi the same way. They don't know how, but he got into the pantry.
Yeah.
Got into the pantry and got them off of a.
Just takes one crack of a pantry door for a nose to open it. And so you want to make sure that pantry door is closed. And again, when we talk about the cats, you don't want to let them play with plastic bags. You want to keep them completely away from any type of a bag or a container that they can jump into. And another thing people don't think about is their garage. They'll put a 50-pound bag of dog food in the garage. Unless it's way up, way up high, I don't recommend it at all. We've had Great Danes and German Shepherds and Golden Retrievers suffocate in these food bags in the garage. So store them in containers. And the other thing,
we have the kibble vault. That's how I knew that my husband was going to stay. Not that he left his toothbrush there, but he brought his dog's kibble vault. So
instead of a drawer, it's a kibble vault.
Instead of a drawer, he needed a place for his dog's food. But in all seriousness, I will tell you that, and this is not a plug for Costco. No, Costco doesn't need our plug, but a large bag of Costco dog food will fit into a large kibble vault. So what we do is we come home and we cut the bag open completely, and we close the door in the room because the dogs will absolutely come in there. They know the sound.
Of course.
We pour it completely in and then cut it up, and it goes into the trash bin.
That's great. Yes. And those habits are what help keep your pet safe.
And I will also say, we separate our garbage, recycle, and regular garbage. Garbage night. Be very aware. We all have garbage night. The night that you have to take everything together and put it outside for the trash to come pick it up in the morning. And we've got to be real careful with dogs, especially Digby, on garbage night, because from under the sink, everything is under the sink behind a cabinet, but you pull those things out, and in a flash, he is there to see what cans he can start to lick.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's a nice sharp edge. It's not a suffocation, and it could be a suffocation depending on what's in there.
Very similar example.
But a similar example, garbage night, they could get very, very hurt just going after those cans.
We also have a lot, and you're on the mountain, so you have coyotes, you have bobcats, you have all kinds of wildlife that's there that can get into your trash and get a bag out. Yeah. So let's, Bonnie, I'm going to talk about you. We were talking about tips and tricks. So we know that, cut up the bags, just cut them up, get some resealable containers. As much as we want to say, oh, I'll remember to put the bag away, you might not, and it's just not worth that risk if you forget or you get busy or you get distracted. Or if you have kids in the home, very easy thing to do. But you were working on a petition.
Right. That was a petition. It is still live. It was a petition I started years ago to Frito-Lay to add warning labels to their chip bags. And a few months ago, we reached 50,000 signatures. Now, that took a long time, believe it or not. But change.org calls that a very successful petition. So we're going to be working with a PR person to help find the best way to present this to Frito-Lay. We really would love to get the warning labels on the bags. They're the, biggest producer of snacks. People say to me, "Oh, dogs can't read. Why are you on a label?" Right. They can't, but we can. And the more ways we hear about this and know about this, the more chances we have to, implement these safety procedures.
Babies can't read either, and we have a suffocation risk printed out on all kinds of plastic bags.
Toys,
So
plastic,
same
yes.
argument, right? Same argument.
Right.
I'm losing an eyelash over here.
So that petition is listed on our website at preventpetsuffocation.com. And if anybody would love to sign it, that would be great. So we're still building the signatures. The more, the better.
Right.
So for those listening, you go to preventpetsuffocation.com. You'll be able to find a link to
It's on the homepage. Mm-hmm.
And then share it with everyone you know, because everyone you know probably doesn't even realize that this could happen to their beloved pet.
And share this episode.
Share this episode.
Yeah. Share this episode with your friends. That's why we
And I
want
would
everyone
also
to have this.
say, if someone has had a suffocation event or an almost loss or one that has been lost, please take the survey that's also on the homepage of our website too, because that is going to help with our metrics and everything as we keep pushing to get some of these changes made.
Right.
Helps track. That's accident prevention.
And I want to come back around to the survey. I don't want to gloss over this point. The 4,500 people that responded to the survey,
Mm-hmm.
are they, like me? I do the cutting of the bag, so I'm doing my part, or are they people that have actually lost or nearly lost a pet?
They're both. They're everybody. Some had never heard of it until the survey. Some had never heard of it until they found my Facebook page. Some had almost lost their dog, and some had lost it, a dog or a cat, So there were all types. And, of the dogs, of all the animals that suffocated, 89% were dogs. And 52% were between 25 and 75 pounds. So that Corgi is going to fit right in there.
Right.
Right. And that's why I say the size and the breed, doesn't matter. And the other thing I do want to point out is it's not just your home that you have to worry about. You need to pay attention to your vehicle as well. Though it's not a huge number, 3% of the losses were in a car. And that's from people getting fast food or groceries or something, running in, doing errands, leaving the dog in the car, coming back and having a problem.
Road trip type food. Yeah.
Or just doing an errand, like getting fast food and leaving it in your car and then running in and doing an errand, So.
Yeah, I don't think I would have thought about that. Not like
Right.
the other. Yeah.
Yeah. So even the styrofoam cups that these drinks come in, I always, crunch them up. The same with the cans. I did a TikTok recently on crushing cans. Some girl had posted one and I did a stitch with it and it went viral, like 1 million views. I was so happy about that. That's how much play this got about crushing the cans and putting the lids on the cans and so forth. So anytime anything like that happens, it's a big plus. Getting
How much 1 million people more now know.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. It's going viral to save an animal's life.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
My eyelash is like coming off. The candy's just a hot mess over here. Well, Bonnie, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. We appreciate you so much. We want to be part of the movement that gets the word out. If you're listening, go to preventpetsuffocation.com, sign the petition to try to get these food manufacturers to put warning labels on the chip bags. cut up all of your bags for the wildlife, for your pets. Use resealable containers. The minute you think you'll remember, you might not. So this
Right.
is all really good information.
And learn even more stuff. I know we were talking offline and we didn't have a chance to really get into it. The plastic bag costume or whatever that, Bonnie, you were talking about, seeing
Right.
somebody put a plastic bag on their dog.
Oh, the loaf of bread
The
costume.
loaf of bread costume.
Right. That was just an example of, people think it's cute. And I'm not saying it's not cute to have, costumes on your pets. People love to do it. I've certainly put bunny ears on my dog and things like that. But this happened to be a plastic bread bag, and it was all over the dog's body. And I just use that in my messaging as be careful, because it is cute, but it's also a dangerous thing for your dog. Maybe not that time because you're right there, but it makes them more liable to go into bags. If they're familiar with them and think that they're a toy. So I just want to give everybody those little warnings. Like, look around your house every day before you leave. What is a suffocation risk? I view everything as a potential problem. So take those extra minutes, and when you're gone, or even when you're home, you can rest a little easier, thinking you did what you could.
Well, and I think, with the costumes, we get some heat sometimes because I dress my dogs up. I mean, we have a lot of fun with it. We have theme parties and we do the costumes. And we get a hard time about that sometimes. And it's like, it gets the dogs used to being handled. It gets them used to having sensations on their skin, which is really useful for things like going to the vet, going to the groomer. There's kind of a training thing with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think one of the takeaways there is like, make sure it's safe. Like, it needs to be safe. If it's something that could cause a problem, I mean, anytime my dog, if they're restricted in their movement, or it's giving them anxiety, or they're having a hard time breathing, or if it's something that could choke or suffocate, like right away it's coming off, because it's that minute you look away. Well, Bonnie's given us some wonderful prevention tips. Please follow Prevent Pet Suffocation on the socials. Check out the website. That is preventpetsuffocation.com. Sign the petition to get the chip bag manufacturers to put a warning label on the bags. Bonnie, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time, expertise, and all the information.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank
See you
you. We
later.
hope, you too.
Take
We
care.
hope you enjoyed this episode. We have over 140, over we're in our 7th season now. Please like and subscribe if you didn't. We hope that this information is helpful to you, and please reach out with any questions. Candy and Chuckles signing out.
Catherine, Digby, and Calabria.
And the rest of the Corgi committee, we'll see you next week.
Bye.